morning and welcome to P&B Sports Show. I'm your host, Aaron Cotton. This morning, we turn our attention to the Premier League title race and standings after a compelling weekend of football. 8 matches have sent shockwaves through the table as now reclaimed top spot with a crucial win at Everton. Manchester City stayed within striking distance and Aston Villa continued a surprising surge with another big victory. Elsewhere, there were draws that helped some teams consolidate mid-table positions and setbacks that raised questions about the consistency of the title contenders. To help us unpack all the implications, the point movement, future possibilities, and what it means for the title race, joining us is football analyst Ero John. But before that, we are going to be going on a short break, and when we come back, we are going to be breaking down our Premier League weekend fixtures. Don't go anywhere, because P&B Sports Show will be right back. Okay, so welcome back to P&B Sports Show. Like I said earlier, we're going to be dissecting and analyzing the Premier League table based on what happened over the weekend. And we're going to be having Ero John. Ero, how are you doing?
Good morning, Tom. I'm very fine. Compliments of the shooting. Good to be here once again.
Same here. So let's dive right into it. Arsenal moved to the top of the table again with 39 points after their victory, and Aston Villa also solidified their place in the top 3 as well, staying in 3rd position. Then we could see Chelsea also moved up to 4th with 29 points. Well, it seems like you are putting on a Chelsea jersey. So what can we say about that? Then also we saw Manchester City drop to 2nd position with 37 points after a shock 2-1 defeat. Then we also saw Manchester United, which fell to 7th position after a loss to Aston Villa with 2-1. So what is your take looking at the table right now?
Okay, I see the table is beginning to take shape. That's exactly what I told the fellow Chelsea fan after the Aston Villa Manchester United game. I said the table is beginning to take shape. We are beginning to separate the men from the boys. Beginning to separate the sheep from the wolves. And we have gone 17 games into the season. We are almost midway into the season. Things are beginning to know where they stand. The table is beginning to look like what we are expecting few matches from now and then to the end of the season. The strangers, according to strangers in the top 4, they are beginning to find their place. They are beginning to know, we have overstayed our welcome. And the real owners of the top 4 are beginning to find their own. We need to locate their roots. What I mean that this is that
because Chelsea is in top 4, so you are beginning to say the real owners.
Of course, at least we are seeing Manchester City. They found their feet in the 2nd position now, and as a matter of fact, they are chasing Arsenal like some area boys chasing siege. We are seeing Arsenal on top spots as expected, and from now, kudos to them. Kudos but no kudos. Let me start with Arsenal. You see, I've always said this. I said it whenever I say it, they say it because of rivalry. Arsenal cannot win the league title with Miguel as a coach. And that's what Arsenal will win. It's not a profession. It's not a thing. If you watch their game against Everton, you will not see. You will see a side that's struggled. They basically struggled to win that game. Again, the only goal in the game came there in penalty. It's just that in the process of in the 14th minutes or so, they have their striker Victor Perez. And till the end of that game, they struggled to score another goal. You cannot win titles like that Yes, I know what matters the most is the 3 points, but how long can you continue to play like this? How long can you continue to
But
they have no
but I think looking at it, we can see that Arsenal are on top for now, like you rightly said. But they are only on top with about 2 points, and it's always problematic to have a team like Manchester City chasing you on the table. What's their biggest strengths and weaknesses heading into January?
I think their biggest strength is the fact that they have the squad depth. Yes, if Arsenal this season did not have the squad depth, I tell you categorically, Tom, they would have been second or third position by now. What I've been helping them is the fact that they have the squad depth. Victor Gyökeres just came back from injury. They played with us for over 6 games. They did not lose any of these 2 games. I think they drew only third round and I think they lost just one. You understand? That's their biggest strength. They have a very good squad depth. Yeah, they can play without anybody in the squad. They
Yes.
have been playing without Gabriel and Saliba for a while now. They can play without anybody. That's their strength. But then again, what is their weakness? I think their weakness is an ancestral problem. Sorry that I said that. They just find a way of not maintaining top spot. I think that's a weakness for them. I think also I don't want to say Arsenal players are fatigued because Arteta does so well in rotating them. He does so well with rotation. I don't think there's any Arsenal player this season that have played all the games this season. I don't think there's any of them. I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not so certain, but I don't think there's any player in the Arsenal
Okay.
squad this season that has played all the matches that this season,
Okay.
effectively for the Claret.
Okay. But
They have squad depth, and but then I think their problem is ancestral. They just I don't know how they just manage to always control.
I think their problem is that Arsene Wenger just decided to leave them and go to FIFA to secure a position for himself, and and it seems like Arteta is on his own trying to solve the puzzles. But we could see that Arsenal had a narrow win versus Everton, and it was kind of seemed a little bit gritty. Does this show the evolution of Arteta's squad, and how does this show the type of mentality that they also have? Because like you rightly said, they have squad depth, but squad depth is not always enough. But I think the difference between them and a lot of other teams is that the games are matches that they are supposed to pick up. They end up winning those matches. They end up winning the easier matches, unlike teams like, I'm sorry to say, teams like Manchester United, who end up winning big matches but losing smaller matches.
When you want to win the title, when you say you're a title contender, not a title pretender, they are title pretenders. When you say you're a title contender, you have to win all games as possible, whether big or small. I can vividly remember Leicester City winning the title in 2012 or 2014, if I'm not mistaken. They won so many games, one goal to nil, one goal to nil, one goal to nil. They can score in the first half, they have managed to score in the first half on the value to score in the first half, and then that's how the game ends. What matters is not in any game is picking up the 3 points. And so Arsenal has been doing that. I mean, against Everton, personally, I didn't expect them to go with the 3 points. I expected a draw that game. But somehow, they managed to couple in 1-0 with goal. That's what matters the most in football, sincerely speaking. If they go on to win 10 more games, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, they're already one hand on the title. You see, so what you need the most when you say you want to contend for a title, when you are charging to win a title, is
Yes.
to win, get the win, as focus. No matter who you are playing, no matter who you are playing, whether you are playing against the big schools, you are playing against top 10, the bottom 10, get the win. That's what matters the most.
Okay. Okay.
However you want to play to get the win.
But
Whether you want to score via a penalty, it's just get the win.
okay. But I think
That's working for them so far.
I think one thing that stood out for us over the weekend was Manchester City. I think Manchester City, they've gotten their footing and they've been keeping the pace, and it seems like they've balanced into this season. But what is your take on Manchester City and their performance over the weekend?
Okay, that was a very superb performance. They they played like the opponents were owing them on from the previous season. That was superb. I personally watched that game and I was surprised as the way they played. Usually, I don't know. I think Pep Guardiola has something against people that he trained. Whether he does not like him to excel also, I don't know. Because ever since they started chasing Arsenal, they suddenly recovered the form they've been looking for since the beginning of the season. And I think right now, Manchester City has clicked. And we all know when Manchester City clicks, it's a problem for the entire Premiership. Not about the problem for the entire Europe, even going into the Champions League.
Mm.
After that, the stage they are in now, they found the missing puzzle. I think they have a couple of players that are speaking of from Haaland, obviously, Doku, and Cheki, and the Tijani boy that plays midfield for them. And so these players are presently playing. I can surprise you that they have been playing without Rodri for a while now.
Mm.
And we have not even noticed this anymore. That's another thing that has good squad depth. That's another thing that invested so much in player development. So, a good one for them. Personally speaking, I want them to outplay Arsenal at the top of the table. I want them to outplay Arsenal at the top of the table. I hope that they will be able to achieve that. But they are a good shot now. That formidable. Arsenal knows what's coming for them, essentially speaking.
Okay.
Arsenal know that, it's being changed by Manchester. If they were being changed by Chelsea, Liverpool, or Manchester United, I would have said that those are title contenders. But being changed by Manchester City, I mean, they will give you a run for your money.
I'm happy. I think one thing I'm happy about is that you included Chelsea even while you're wearing a Chelsea jersey as title pretenders. But moving forward, it seems like there's a team that has been making the rounds. I think a team that people didn't expect to come this far, which is Aston Villa. Aston Villa beat Manchester United 2-1 on Sunday. And what is your first take on that match? And also, moving forward, don't you think that Aston Villa can create an upset? Sorry, can we pull up that table?
Okay.
Just the table, not the scores. Yes. So we can see that Aston Villa, they're at 36 right now. Man City at 37. So it seems like all we just need from an Aston Villa side is they should be praying that Manchester City draw or lose a match first of all while they win. Then also they should be praying that Arsenal end up losing their next match, and if they lose their next match, they are going to be on top if it goes that way. But you know that football is not all about hopes, it's all about performances as well. So what is your own take on Aston Villa and their performance so far, especially against Manchester United?
Aston Villa under Emery, they've been a very wonderful team. I am particularly surprised because I know Una Emery to be a very defensive coach. I need to be a defensive minded coach. So looking at Aston Villa side and they go to score goals, they go to dominate play, they go to win games. I think he has developed his pattern of play. I think he has worked on himself as a coach. And then this present Aston Villa side, they've grown so much from being just a team. They are teams in the Premier League that they are only known for doing good. They can do good offsets. When you need them to just beat a particular team or a particular big team, that used to be the role of the likes of Aston Villa, the likes of Crystal Palace, the likes of the Den Watford, the likes of Stoke City. They can lose 10 in a row. Let them play a big team, it's the big team, and they will go back to being 19th on the table. So Aston Villa have grown, they've grown. I mean, being in the top four at this time, not just in the top four, with a whooping 36 points, that's huge. I can tell you against the game against Manchester United, anybody that when you say Manchester United to win that game, I'm very sorry that person needs to see our doctor. That person was blessed to take confidence.
But some would say that the reason why Manchester United had problems was the fact that Ruben Amorim didn't have some of his pivotal players on the pitch. You know that the AFCON is coming as well, so you can see players like Mbemu and not being available for Manchester United to use. Don't you see that as a problem moving forward? Or do you think that Ruben Amorim should be praying that his players lose after the first 2 weeks and quickly come back in AFCON?
Okay, that's all. Even if Manchester United be complete and they were setting on that thing, they still have lost to Aston Villa. But
Chelsea fans, you are the problem in the Premier League.
I just Manchester United to a team that was on a 9-game streak, 9-game solo streak. There's no juju that we can do that for Manchester United. The juju priest would have died before the match. Going forward, we have discussed the Amorim and the present situation is in now. I listened to him in a pre-match interview before Aston Villa, and I laughed. The reason I laughed was because the reality has gone on him. I kept telling people that Ruben Amorim's tactics built around Mbemo and Ahmad Diallo with a little bit of Bruno Fernandes. But from Manchester United's past, argue this way. Guess what? Those three players are presently unavailable. Ahmad Diallo and Mbemo, they've gone for AFCON. Bruno Fernandes is out injured. You saw what happened in the last game. We saw a Martinez playing midfield. There's presently a Bugatti that is nothing to wrestle about. This will be a big problem for Manchester United. A very big problem. And then I think Ruben Amorim said something about we find a solution. I think presently he's thinking of switching formation to a different pattern because that formation was built around chasing people. You see, so many Manchester United fans are not beginning to see the reality that I was saying at that time. I was telling that, what you expect that was not a lie. And so then I said, go and watch all the games that they removed Ahmad Diallo. Manchester United went on not to win that game, or they went on to concede goals. So, you see, at this critical time when Manchester United they are struggling to find their peace, you are not losing some of your best players and some of the players who are the heartbeats of the formation. It is a problem. It is a huge problem. I categorically state to you, John, that the only creator in that team, the only creative midfielder in that team is Bruno Fernandes. He's finally out injured. You know what? Manchester United does not have any midfielder that can create. Messi Mount is not a good creator. It's a good creator.
So which means we can see Manchester United fall deeper even before the AFCON is over. By the time the AFCON is over.
The only prayer that Amorim should be praying now when he gets to church on Sunday with a Christian is that Cameroon should leave AFCON as early as possible. Yes, that is to tell his pastors to put it in prayer.
Okay.
Cameroon should not go past the group stage, or else indeed it shades.
Okay.
I mean, before AFCON is over, it may have gone down to 15th position. Because let me tell you why I'm saying this. When you watch that team, you see a team that is not ready. Let me speak. They are not ready. I watch them sometimes and I wonder if I give those salaries, remove the coach. When the players play sometimes, you are working. I begin to see where Bruno Fernandes is always complaining when he's on the pitch. Because some players, they are so reckless, they are so uninterested,
they just have this lackadaisical attitude. And I think at some point, when Rashford was on the team, people thought that it was the players, just plotting against the coaches at a time. But right now, it seems like that is not even the case. It seems like there's a deeper problem. But I know that you won't mind talking about Manchester United for the whole day. But now let's move on to Newcastle United versus Chelsea. What was your first take on that match, and how do you think it affected Chelsea moving forward? Because we could see Chelsea move up to 4th place.
Okay, first off, I was very surprised that Chelsea started the draw. The reason is this: I'm not saying this because I'm a Chelsea fan. Chelsea has only had a bad record playing at St. James Park, the home side of Newcastle United, over the things. I don't remember the last time we played them at St. James Park. We have a 4 record at St. James Park. So going there to start the draw, when Before I even go to the viewing center where I was to watch the match, we already losing. I was just laughing on my way. I said, "Hey, today is just another day in the newspapers." And then before I settled down, we are losing 2-0. I said, okay, let's just hope it does not get to 4. Because I already knew that one, we have a very poor record at the day part. Two, this week after side, they are this season, they are not so bad. They are good, they are doing well. And Chelsea is being a very inconsistent team that you can brag on today, you can brag on tomorrow. I knew that whatever I was ready for, whatever comes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I wanted my destiny to that to watch that game. I was ashamed, I almost took it off. But Chelsea managed to salvage the draw. After that money, they did well in the second half. Good fighting spirit. That's what we want to see from them. But how did it affect the table? It affects the table in the sense that if others to come down the decade order, I don't know, many people don't see what I'm saying. As we speak, the first position is chopping up with 10, a whooping 10 points, 29 to 29. That means we need to win at least 3 games, and who will be first position need to lose at least 3 games before we can able to come. Okay, closing the bracket.
Which seems almost impossible at the moment for Chelsea.
It's not even almost impossible. It's completely impossible. It's just that I know. It's completely impossible. Because the one that you think Chelsea will lose tomorrow, they will come out to lose again. So I think what we are able to do now is to manage ourselves to see that we don't put the taking order in the top 4. Because the points difference between us and people who are this position is not big.
Okay, so talking about the people who are in fifth position, which is Liverpool, and you can see that you people have the same points in Liverpool. I think 29, but I think what's just helping people is probably the goal difference. But what is your take? What is your take on Liverpool? Liverpool played Tottenham Hotspurs and beat Tottenham Hotspurs 2-1. And it seems like they are also a team that has gotten their mojo up. They are a team that are beginning to play well at the moment. So what is your take presently on Liverpool? Don't you think that there's a possibility that they might just override Chelsea eventually?
Of course, there's a very strong possibility of that. There is. In football, anything can happen. Usually, the game against Tottenham was the game of two blind men. The man with one eye became the king. So, Liverpool close to Liverpool. I was really surprised to see that after they won that game, they became equal on points with Chelsea. That shows how bad Chelsea is this season. Liverpool that we have been slanted, that have lost a streak of games. They are struggling on the same points brackets with us. It's a problem. You say Liverpool, I don't want to completely conclude that they have found their feet. I want to think that because of the level of pressure that Stanislas is under, he is doing what they call fire brigade approach to win their own games. If they go on to win 2 or 3 more games, I cannot begin to say, okay, they are slowly beginning to find themselves in the game. They are slowly beginning to find what works for them. And now that Mohamed Salah has left for AFCON, let's see what comes out of the thing. Let's see what Stanislas to do with the players. So kudos to them, at least from being on the bottom 10 of the table, they are presently fixed position. They are tied of points with us. So they are just 1 win away from getting into the top 4. So let's see what they are able to do in the coming games.
Okay.
Because we cannot say Liverpool have found their feet.
Okay. So moving forward, the scenarios that we are expecting is if Arsenal wins their next few fixtures and City slip, Arsenal could also open a clean gap on the table. Then maybe if there's a run by Manchester City, we could also flip the pressure on Arsenal, because it seems like the pressure is also on Arsenal right now. But a holiday pivot can change the entire title race. Then also moving from Aston Villa, since Aston Villa has found their form and they could remain in the hunt, they could actually go to top. They could actually top the table or actually go in second. So there's a possibility that we might see Arsenal actually fall to third if They fall to second, and Manchester City actually top them. Eventually, we can see them fall to third because of their lack of consistency against top teams. And it seems like they're only winning against the smaller teams. Then when you look at teams like Chelsea and Liverpool, they need to cement their strong lead in for Champions League qualification spots as well. But moving forward, we can see with the AFCON in play at the moment, a lot of teams will have to change their squad rotations, and a lot of teams will be tested. Teams like Manchester United, teams like Liverpool, especially, you know, and also we can see like in the mid-table teams like Brighton, Everton, and Newcastle also need wins soon to avoid falling into danger during the January fixtures. But Ero, for the last time, what do you think about the holiday fixtures and the teams that are going to be leaving and the players that are also going to be leaving from their teams? And how do you think it's going to affect some of these teams?
Okay, thank you. I think the teams that lost some of their players to AFCON, or the teams that some of their players are participating presently in AFCON, they are going to be greatly affected. The reason is because, you know, December and January have a number of games. I think there are 8 games for in January. There are some teams have about 6 games to play, and you understand? So
yes.
It's a choking period. December and January. That's why we always say December and January is 1/3 deciding factor on how the team is going to be at the end of the season. Because this is a period where you play a lot of games. You can play up to 2 to 3 games sometimes in a week. You can play on Sunday, you are playing on Wednesday, and then you are playing on Sunday again. You understand? So it's going to be a huge one. And just imagine it seems like Fulham, that Samuel Chukwueze is out, Abibasi is out, Alex Iwobi is out. You see, you have just got 3 of your most vital players. As a matter of fact, these are 3 most important players in the team. Such a team is going to suffer. It's not an insult. What the team is going to show evidence that, oh, this man has not been crucial player. They've not from crucial player. So that is a problem going into AFCON and then going into January. We are going to see so many dramas. We are going to see so many upsets in January. We are going to see so many things happening in some of these games. We are going to see teams praying for their players to come back. We are going to see so many coaches criticize AFCON again and again and again, because of the number of players they are losing to the tournament. Especially for the ones who their countries are going to go back the tournament, it's going to be a problem for their teams. So we are watching to see how everything unfolds. The teams that don't lose so many contract players, they don't know what God has done for them. I think it's a time for them to capitalize on these things and let's work on something.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ero John, for your in-depth analysis on the Premier League standings and the tables and how the weekend fixtures affected the table moving forward. And congratulations to Chelsea for moving up to 4th position as well. Thank you, Ero.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, always a pleasure. Right now, we're going to be going on a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be moving on to our next segment, which will be our Athlete of the Day segment. So grab your teacup and grab your popcorn, because P&B Sports Show will be right back. Welcome back. We're going to move into our Athlete of the Day segment, and our Athlete of the Day today is Jake Paul. Despite ending the night on the losing side against Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul is an American YouTuber turned professional boxer who rose to fame through social media before making a bold and controversial switch into combat sports. Born on January 17, 1997, Paul built a massive online following before transitioning into boxing, where he deliberately took the path of fighting high-profile names to draw global attention to the sport. Over the years, Jake Paul has carved out a reputation as one of the most talked about figures in modern boxing, not necessarily because of titles, but because of his ability to sell fights, attract new audiences, and blur the line between entertainment and elite sports. He has faced former MMA champions, veteran fighters, and now one of boxing's most established heavyweights in Anthony Joshua. Jake Paul earns Athlete of the Day recognition not because he won, but because of what the fight represented. He stepped into the ring against Anthony Joshua, a former unified heavyweight world champion, a massive leap in the competition. The fight drew global attention, pulling casual fans, boxing pauses, and critics into one conversation. Paul showed courage and ambition, choosing legacy-defining challenges rather than safe matches. Even in defeat, he demonstrated resilience by lasting deep into the fight and refusing to back down. He continues to change the boxing economy, proving that crossover fighters can headline major events. Jake Paul may have lost the fight, but he won the spotlight. Taking on Anthony Joshua elevated his profile, tested his limits, and pushed the boundaries of what people believe is possible for non-traditional fighters in early boxing. That bravery is visible, and his willingness to challenge himself on the biggest stage is why Jake Paul is our athlete of the day. Well, we're going to be ending the program. Ero, thank you once more for your incisive analysis. That's it for this table impact breakdown. The Premier League title race is tighter than ever, and every point matters as we head into the busy festive period. Stay tuned for our next show, where we'll preview the upcoming fixtures, check how injuries and call-ups could affect the big clubs, and what's happening in the AFCON. And we're going to be breaking down all the twists and thrilling turns this season. I'm Arako Tom. Thanks for watching, and stay with us on P&B Sports. Bye-bye.